Good day, everyone. It's Vin Maru from Seeking Liberties in Mexico, and wow, we're actually seeing what liberties looks like in Mexico. If you haven't heard already, one of the largest cartels in Mexico, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the head leader El Mencho was just killed this morning, and Puerto Vallarta has literally turned into a cartel war zone. But ironically, it's not a cartel against a cartel, and it's not even the cartels against the police. Imagine if they were out and about earlier in the day, it would have been. But they've really tried to shut down the city altogether with firebombing cars, blocking roads, firebombing stores, lots of corner stores, Oxxo in particular, and a few others, even parking lots in various stores, and like Soriana and Costco have been on the blaze. I mean, they're all over the city, which is sad to see because I live in Puerto Vallarta. I've lived here for over 4 years, and we've never ever seen anything like this happen. This is the first, but obviously you can understand why it was going to happen because there was going to be a retaliation, given that the head of the cartel was just taken out. So one of the, as I mentioned, one of the head cartel members had been taken out, and it's probably one of the biggest cartels. He was one of the most wanted, from the U.S. government, but around the world, supposedly there was a $15 million bounty for him. Other cartel members connected to him were also taken in a news article that had been published earlier in the day that I shared. Mentioned, a bit of his background and how he became who he was. But I mean, they were saying he's almost as big or bigger than El Chapo and just as violent. I'm not sure about that. I can tell you, I've lived in Mexico and in Puerto Vallarta for over 4 years. Never seen anything like this before. Not even close. Probably one of the safest cities there is in Mexico, ironically. It was a protected city by the cartels. This is one area that was totally controlled by the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, and in particular El Mencho. And it was actually a very safe city, very safe. No, not even businesses getting shaken down for money here. I think they probably had a lot of their own money in this city, or they lived in and around it. So it was a very safe zone. And to see it go from being one of the safest cities in Mexico to almost the opposite, like a literally a war zone going on out there with fires all over the city. Um, it really is sad to see, but again, was it to be expected given what has happened recently? Absolutely. There is news reports that the U.S. government had been feeding information to the Mexican government, but so far we've been told it is the Mexican military that actually went to the city where El Mencho was, and um, took him and his people around him out. There were several people that died, and he supposedly died on the way to Mexico City. They were trying to fly him out. He was a few hours away from Mexico City. So that's what we know so far. And I can tell you, I seen the fires. I'll actually put up one of the videos when I looked out my window earlier this morning around 10:30 and 11, and I was wondering, where's all this smoke coming from? I thought maybe, someone's burning some grass or bush or whatever. But no, then I looked down the street towards the ocean, and I'm about 4 or 5 blocks from the ocean, and I see a huge fire there. Now I'm very curious, so I decide to walk out with my camera, walk towards the 200 highway, where it's the main highway that runs through Puerto Vallarta, and literally this is what I had seen. So this was. Oh, let me just pull up the video. This is what I initially saw from walking down the street from my place towards the highway. Now I'm obviously curious as to what it is and what's happening. And then this is what I actually saw. cars are literally on fire. And it probably just happened, I don't even know, 5-10 minutes before I got there. First car was just one, but now you'll see two cars side by side. In place. And then across the street, there's about 3 other cars there that were on fire.
Well,
And like I had mentioned, that was very unusual to see. But obviously, when I got to see 6 cars there in a row, I knew something was up. Now, I'd seen one other fire off car smoke up far off in the distance, which triggered me to wonder what was happening. Then I looked down the road and I see this bigger smoke fire, so I went and investigated. That's the video I took, and I shared it on Facebook. And then as I'm walking back home, now I'm thinking, all right, there's something major going on here, which I still didn't know exactly what was happening. But I ran into a couple of locals talking to them. They spoke to me in Spanish because they all think I'm Mexican down here. So um, I started speaking to them briefly, and they mentioned it was cartel related, which by then I kind of assumed. But to see 6 cars like this all in a row in a highly populated tourist area of Puerto Vallarta where I live was very, very strange. So, um, and they found it very strange. So I went back to my apartment, started looking online and seeing what's going on. Now I'm seeing posts by other people mentioning it. This is happening all over the city, and not just here, but in Guadalajara and other locations in Jalisco. And then I saw the news itself that the head cartel leader was killed. And here's the actual article I'm going to show you. Let me just pull it up. That I first looked at. Let me just refresh it so I can get it in English. But essentially, the leader, Nemesio Orseguera Cervantes, and his name is El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, killed in a federal operation. He was identified by the government as the absolute leader of this cartel. And what it mentions here, he was killed by some federal forces Sunday, February 22nd. Top officials confirmed to Millennial, which is the website I found this on, that El Mencho was killed as a result of operations led by the Army, and supposedly there was U.S. intelligence involved in there. Where was he killed? It seemed he died after being captured in an Army operation in sorry, in Tapalpa, Jalisco. Sorry, it's a little unusual for me to pronounce this, but and he was seriously wounded and died during the air transportation to Mexico City. Later, that's when all these roadblocks were reported in several states, primarily in Jalisco, but in Michoacan, as well as Tamaulipas, Colima, Guanajuato, and Aguascalientes. There were also reports of these things happening in Veracruz and Guerrero, so this was starting to spread. Late afternoon, I even heard it was in Cancun, Playa del Carmen, as well as Tulum. So this vacuum that had been created has really spread all across Mexico for the most part, lots of different regions. The article here just goes on to say 2 other cartel members were also arrested and turned over to the Attorney General. 6 other members were also killed, and the operation resulted in seizures of armed vehicles, including rocket launchers capable of shooting down aircraft and destroying armored vehicles. So this cartel was very heavily armed, and they did seize some of the assets. I don't think they got all of them, obviously. The article just goes on to who he was as a leader and how he evolved to become the one of the biggest cartel leaders after the last big one, which was El Chapo. So, when questioned about the killing of El Mencho, President Claudia Sheinbaum indicated that the security cabinet would be the one to report on the case. And then as a result of this, Canadian and U.S. Authorities and state departments have issued warnings to stay indoors. Shortly after, there had been additional warnings even in town that it's turned into a red zone, stay inside. There was rumors that between 1 and 2 o'clock they were going to do random shootings. Supposedly, there was demands by the cartel that were enacting all of this for various demands against the government, and one of them was supposedly that the son of El Mencho was also captured, and they wanted his release. Now, from what I understand, a lot of this violence that had occurred in and around Puerto Vallarta were just young guys on their motorcycle throwing Molotov cocktails into the vehicles, into stores, lots of Oxxos, convenience stores being hit, even some big grocery stores. There was a rumor that they might hit infrastructure, shutting down the power grid, as well as water. That warning had been out. And even another issued warning by them by 5 p.m. Vallarta time, that if their demands weren't met, they were just going to start storming people's homes and hotels and doing whatever, randomly killing people possibly. Haven't heard much about that since. The Mexican military and the police force finally started showing some presence hours and hours later. I would say 4 or 5 hours later, and we start to see military aircraft, helicopters flying around now. So this has been going on since, I would suspect, around 10:30, 11 when I started seeing it happen, and it's been going on all day. I've stayed in most of the day since then, but it really is sad to see what has happened here, and what is going to continue to happen going forward. The rumor and the suspicion is this violence could continue on for a few more days, so people will be weary about wanting to leave. Vallarta is a Canadian destination and a tourist town, so it will definitely impact the economy here. Something we discuss on this channel quite a bit is, business opportunities, investment opportunities in Mexico. But given light what's happened, I would be very wary about Mexico for the next little while, because while this violence may move away from the big cities, the tourist cities like Vallarta, there's a vacuum being left on who's going to succeed El Mencho and who will be the new next cartel leader, which will lead to a lot of violence in and around Mexico outside of the normal regions, especially more probably regions where a lot of the drugs are made. So I do fully expect to see more violence in and around Mexico. Maybe not so much the big leaders, but you can see this was just down the road from me. Literally off my balcony. You can see it happening. So that took place just off my balcony, probably 70, 80 feet away. Just after the longer video that I showed you with the 6 cars blowing up. There's a lot of videos and footage around there. Here's one that's a famous image of the bus. Yeah, so this is one of the images that's been going around about the bus being on fire. Now, from what I understand, the cartels that lit this on fire asked everyone to leave the bus, and then they blew it up to use it as a blockade, which is sad. But there was a lot of this just going in and around town. You can see images like this, just multiple fires in and around Puerto Vallarta. This is a pretty big one. Look how smoky it was. And this is from Zona Romantica, someone's video that I found. So that's pretty much it for what I have right now. I don't have any additional information. It seems like things have settled down here. Not as much violence, not as much car fires going on. But if anything does change in the next day or two, I'll be doing some more videos over the next few days as more information comes to light as what happened and how that will impact our decisions here on Seeking Liberties in Mexico, and whether we can continue to find liberties. I mean, Mexico's still a great place to be. I mean, it's sad that the cartels control what they do and doing what they have done, but it is what it is. And we'll just have to keep reporting as things go along. So if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Follow us for the next few days as we provide more coverage on what's been going on in the city as well as in and around Mexico, and if there are any new developments with regards to this new cartel war, if it gets escalated or not, we'll be hopefully covering it. So take care, enjoy your evening, and we'll talk soon.